You ever notice how some people walk in a room and instantly get taken seriously? They don't even have to say a whole lot, but something about the way they move, the way they look at you, the way they carry themselves, it just commands respect. And when it comes to dating, let me tell you something, respect is everything. Because if somebody doesn't respect you, they'll never truly value you. They might like you for a minute, they might play around with you, but deep down, it won't last. See, the truth is respect ain't something you can beg for. You can't demand it. You got to earn it. And the funny thing is, psychology already gave us the secrets. These little behaviors, these little shifts in how you talk, how you act, how you respond, they shape the way people see you before you even realize it. And here's the kicker, you don't have to change who you are. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to play games. You just got to understand how people's minds work. Because the moment you do, the moment you start carrying yourself with that quiet confidence, that unshakable presence, people stop playing with you. They start respecting you. And in the dating game, that's the difference between being treated like an option and being treated like the prize. You know, one of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships and in life in general is thinking that respect is something you can just ask for, demand, or insist on. They think if they say the right words or put their foot down loud enough, people will magically give them the respect they want. But the truth is, respect doesn't work like that. Respect is something that gets built, something that gets earned, and it starts way before you open your mouth. It starts with how you carry yourself, how you move through this world, how you treat yourself when nobody else is watching. That's where people first decide whether or not they're going to take you seriously. See, when you walk into a room, before anybody even knows your name, people are already making judgments about you. They're noticing your posture, the look on your face, the energy you're putting out. If you walk in with your head down, shoulders slouched, nervous, apologizing with your body language, you're telling people, without even speaking, that you don't fully respect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, why would anybody else? Respect isn't about being the loudest. It isn't about being arrogant. It isn't about trying to prove yourself. It's about a quiet kind of strength, a presence that says, I know who I am, and I know what I bring to the table. That kind of energy doesn't need to be announced because people feel it. In dating, this is especially powerful. Because let's be honest, everybody can put on a show in the beginning. People can dress up nice, throw on some charm, and pretend to be somebody they're not. But after the shine wears off, what really matters is whether they respect you enough to treat you with consistency, with honesty, with care. If you try to demand respect in a relationship, you're already starting from the wrong place. You shouldn't have to constantly remind somebody how valuable you are. They should see it in the way you treat yourself, in the way you set boundaries, in the way you carry yourself with confidence. Think about it like this. If you're always available at someone else's convenience, if you let them cancel on you, disrespect your time, talk to you any kind of way, and you just let it slide, what message are you sending? You're telling them you don't value yourself, so why should they? But when you stand firm, when you say, no, my time matters, when you walk away from situations that don't honor your worth, people suddenly realize they can't just play with you. That's not demanding respect. That's earning it. That's carrying yourself in a way that forces people to adjust how they treat you. Now, I'm not saying you need to walk around with your chest puffed out, acting like you're better than everybody else. Respect is never about looking down on people. It's about lifting yourself up to a place where you don't have to beg for validation. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the smartest or the richest or the best looking. You just need to hold yourself to a standard and then refuse to lower that standard for anyone who isn't willing to rise to meet it. That's how people learn to respect you. And let me be real with you, people are always testing your boundaries, especially in dating. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. But whether it's showing up late, ignoring your calls, dismissing your feelings, or pushing you into things you don't want to do, these are moments where respect is either built or broken. If you ignore it and hope it'll get better, you're teaching them that their behavior is acceptable. But when you calmly and firmly say, "That doesn't work for me," you're showing them that you respect yourself enough to expect better. And funny enough, the more you respect yourself, the more others start to respect you too. Respect also shows up in how you treat other people. The way you talk to waiters, the way you handle disagreements, the way you speak about people when they're not in the room. Those little things speak volumes. If you want someone to respect you, but you're out here talking down to others, being rude, or always needing to win an argument, don't be surprised when that respect doesn't come back to you. Respect is reciprocal. It's magnetic. When you give it, you often get it. But when you carry yourself like it's only about you, people eventually stop listening. I've seen so many people wonder why their partner doesn't treat them with respect. And the truth is, it usually comes back to the signals they're putting out. If you're desperate for approval, if you're always bending over backward just to be liked, if you're tolerating less than you deserve just so you won't be alone, you're teaching people that respect isn't required to stay in your life. But when you stand tall, when you can be kind without being a pushover, when you can be loving without losing yourself, when you can set boundaries without guilt, that's when people start seeing you differently. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't about fear. It's not about intimidation. It's about presence. It's about self-worth. It's about living in such a way that people look at you and say, "I can't treat them just any kind of way. They know who they are." And when you carry yourself like that, in dating, in business, in friendships, in life, you won't have to demand respect. It'll follow you. One of the most fascinating things about people is how much we say without ever opening our mouths. The human mind is constantly reading signals, picking up on little clues, making snap judgments before we even realize it. That's the power of psychology. It teaches us that the smallest behaviors, the way we stand, the way we look at someone, the way we nod our head, even the pauses between our words, carry more weight than we think. And here's the kicker: people are watching and interpreting those signals, whether you mean for them to or not. That's why understanding psychology is such a game changer, especially in dating. Because if you can master these subtle behaviors, you don't have to force respect or chase approval. People will just feel it. Think about it. When somebody looks you in the eye while you're speaking, you immediately feel heard. You feel like what you're saying matters. But when somebody avoids eye contact, stares at their phone, or looks around the room, you start to feel small, ignored, maybe even disrespected. That's psychology at work. It's not about words, it's about signals. And when you learn to send the right signals, you shape how people see you. In dating, if you can hold eye contact without being creepy, smile in a way that's genuine, and give your full attention, you communicate confidence, warmth, and presence. You don't have to announce, "Hey, I'm confident." People feel it through those little cues. Even the way you carry your body speaks louder than your voice. Someone slouched over, shrinking themselves, fiddling with their hands. It gives the impression of insecurity. But someone who stands tall, relaxed, shoulders back, moving with calmness, that person comes across as sure of themselves. And it doesn't matter what they're wearing or how much money they make. The brain reads body language faster than words, and it decides in seconds whether you're worth taking seriously. That's why some people walk into a room and instantly draw attention without saying a word. They've mastered those subtle behaviors that psychology tells us matter most. Another powerful piece of psychology is how we mirror each other. You ever notice how when you're in sync with someone, you start mimicking each other's movements without realizing it? They cross their arms. You cross yours. They lean in, you lean in. It's called mirroring, and it's the mind's way of saying, "I connect with you, I feel safe with you." But here's the interesting part. You can use that knowledge intentionally. When you slightly mirror someone's energy, you make them feel understood. And when people feel understood, they respect you more. But it's not about copying them like a robot. It's about picking up on their vibe and matching it in a way that feels natural. Tone of voice is another thing people underestimate. You could be saying all the right words, But if your tone is nervous, too fast, too harsh, or too flat, people will tune out. On the other hand, a steady, calm, engaging tone can make even simple words feel powerful. That's why some people command attention without raising their voice. They know that silence pacing, and tone create respect in ways shouting never will. In dating, a warm, steady voice can make the other person feel safe, valued, and drawn to you. And once again, psychology proves it. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Let's not forget the psychology of boundaries. One of the strongest signals you can send to someone is how you react when they cross a line. Do you laugh it off? Do you let it slide? Do you avoid speaking up because you don't want conflict? Or do you calmly and firmly say, that doesn't work for me? That moment shapes everything. People learn how to treat you based on how you train them to treat you. And it doesn't take a loud reaction. It doesn't take drama. Just the simple act of standing firm tells the other person, I respect myself, so you should too. That's psychology at its finest, because the mind instantly associates strength with calm certainty. Another subtle thing people notice is how you treat yourself. If you talk down about yourself all the time, joke at your own expense, or constantly apologize for existing, people subconsciously start believing you're less valuable. But when you speak kindly to yourself, carry yourself with pride, and show self-care in how you dress, how you eat, how you live, it sends a very different message. The mind naturally respects someone who respects themselves. And that's not arrogance, that's self-worth. Psychology shows us that people reflect back to us the way we present ourselves to the world. And let me tell you something else, silence is powerful. Too many people rush to fill every empty space in conversation because they're afraid of awkwardness. But psychology shows that pauses give weight to your words. When you can let a moment breathe, when you're not desperate to keep proving yourself, people lean in. They wait for what you're about to say next. Silence is not weakness, it's control. And in dating, that calmness can be magnetic. It tells the other person you're comfortable with yourself, and that comfort makes them feel comfortable too. The beauty of all this is that it's not about manipulation. It's not about tricking people into respecting you. It's about becoming aware of how human beings are wired, and then aligning your actions with the image you truly want to project. Once you understand these subtle psychological behaviors, you stop wasting energy demanding respect because your presence commands it on its own. And the more consistent you are, the more people begin to trust and value you. When it comes to dating, everybody talks about chemistry, about passion, about butterflies in your stomach, and all that is fine, but none of it really lasts without respect. Attraction might be what gets two people in the same room, but respect is what keeps them there. You can be the funniest person in the world, you can be charming, good-looking, or have money, but if the other person doesn't respect you, the relationship will always feel shaky. Respect is the foundation that holds everything else up, and without it, everything crumbles. Respect in dating means seeing each other as equals. It's not about who has the upper hand, who's in control, or who's making the rules. It's about knowing that both people's feelings, time, and boundaries matter. And here's the thing, respect is not optional. You can't just sprinkle a little respect on top when it's convenient. It has to be the core of how you deal with someone from day one. If it's not there at the beginning, it doesn't magically appear later. In fact, once respect is broken, it's very hard to rebuild. Think about attraction without respect. Someone can find you good looking. They can be impressed by your achievements. They can enjoy your company in the moment. But if they don't respect you, they won't take you seriously. They'll treat you like a distraction, like a temporary thrill, not like a partner. That's why so many people get frustrated when they wonder why someone they like doesn't want to commit. Most of the time, it's not about attraction. It's about respect. If they don't respect you, they'll never feel safe enough or motivated enough to build something real with you. Respect also shows up in the small things. It's how they speak to you, how they listen, how they show up when you need them. Do they cut you off mid-sentence, or do they actually hear you out? Do they treat your time like it matters, or are they always canceling last minute? Do they dismiss your feelings, Or do they take the time to understand them? These little moments tell you everything you need to know. When someone respects you, you don't have to beg for their attention. You don't have to remind them to treat you well, and you don't have to explain your worth over and over. They just get it because they see you as valuable. And let's be real here. Respect goes both ways. You can't expect someone to give you what you're not willing to give back. If you want someone to value your boundaries, you've got to value theirs. If you want someone to be honest with you, you've got to be honest with them. If you want someone to see you as a priority, you've got to show that their needs matter too. Respect isn't one-sided. It's the bridge that connects two people, and both sides have to hold it up. Otherwise, it collapses. The reason respect is so tied to long-term connection is because attraction alone fades. Looks change, butterflies settle, and routines take over. But respect, that can grow deeper over time. When you respect someone, you admire them, you value their opinions, you're proud to stand next to them, not just because of how they look, but because of who they are. And when someone respects you, they treat you with a consistency that doesn't waver when life gets tough. That's what keeps relationships strong. You ever see couples who have been together for decades and people ask them, "What's your secret?" 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you it's not just love, it's respect. Because love without respect can get messy. Love without respect can get controlling, toxic, even abusive. But respect keeps love grounded. It makes love safe. It makes love something that both people can grow in without losing themselves. In dating, the fastest way to test respect is to watch how someone handles your boundaries. If you say no, do they push harder or do they step back? If you share something vulnerable, do they use it against you later or do they protect it? If you have dreams and goals, do they support them or do they try to shrink them down? Those are the moments that show you who you're really dealing with. Someone who respects you won't try to control you, won't try to belittle you, and won't try to make you question your own worth. They'll encourage you, stand by you, and celebrate your individuality. And you've got to hold yourself to the same standard. You can't be out here demanding respect while disrespecting yourself. If you're constantly putting yourself down, settling for less, or staying in situations where you're not valued, you're teaching people that disrespect is okay. But when you carry yourself with pride, when you honor your own boundaries, when you demand better by walking away from what doesn't serve you, that's when respect becomes automatic. People don't have to wonder how to treat you because you've already set the tone. At the end of the day, attraction might spark the fire, but respect is what keeps it burning. Respect makes people want to stay. It makes them want to grow with you, to invest in you, to protect the bond they have with you. Without respect, relationships become temporary. With respect, they have the power to last a lifetime. When it comes to human connection, most people think it's the big gestures that matter. They think it's about what you say, what you give, or how hard you try to impress someone. But the truth is, the things that shape how people see you are often silent. They're not always loud or obvious. They're subtle signals, little cues that people pick up on without you even realizing it. And 3 of the biggest silent signals you can ever give off are confidence, boundaries, and empathy. When you have those 3 working together, people notice. They might not be able to explain why they respect you or feel drawn to you, but they'll feel it. Confidence is the first one. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about walking into the room acting like you're better than everybody else. Real confidence is quiet. It's steady. It's the way you move without apologizing for existing. It's looking someone in the eye, speaking clearly, and not being afraid of silence. You don't need to shout to prove you belong. You don't need to show off or convince people you're important. True confidence comes from within, from knowing who you are and being comfortable with it. And when people sense that in you, they automatically give you more respect. They trust what you say more. They want to listen to you more. And in dating, confidence is one of the strongest forms of attraction there is. Because what it really communicates is, I'm secure in myself and I don't need to be validated every second. That's powerful. But confidence alone isn't enough. Without boundaries, confidence can easily turn into pride or selfishness. Boundaries are what tell people, this is how I deserve to be treated. They're not about building walls to keep people out. They're about drawing lines that keep respect alive. When you don't have boundaries, people take advantage without even realizing they're doing it. They'll push, they'll test, they'll see how far they can go, because that's human nature. But when you calmly and firmly hold your ground, you're sending a message. I respect myself, so you have to respect me too. And you don't have to scream it. You don't have to threaten. You don't have to argue. Just by sticking to your boundaries, people learn exactly where they stand with you. Boundaries also make you more attractive because they show that you're not desperate.